there was multiple typhoons and cyclones.
Wow.
There was a whole weather front coming in at that point.
This week on That Car Show, Danny P is back and he's on fire. I drive a very special Porsche 911R and an even more special Alfaholics GTA-R. Lindsey gets behind the wheel of both the new Toyota Land Cruiser and its upscale sibling, the Lexus GX550. And Dan writes a heavily edited magazine article and takes a Spyder RS to Radwood. Plus the $1 million Ferrari Luce, our thoughts on that ducktailed GT3. We share our That Car Show Car Week auction preview, and we revisit a little segment we call If We Ran Porsche. This is a fun one. The gang is all here, and it's That Car Show.
So welcome to this week's That Car Show. And in a week where one car manufacturer lost 60% of its share value because of potential bankruptcy, where Porsche were down 21% year on year in car sales, and Polestar have had to issue a fire sale. It's our job to bring a ray of sunshine to everyone's lives. So it's not quite as bad as it kind of makes out to be. But how are we doing, guys?
So happy to see you both and happy to be here. How about you guys?
How about them cars?
Right? Look over
The
here.
good news for Porsche, though, is that they're actually up 19% on 911s year on year.
Okay.
So it's not all,
Doom and
whatever the
gloom.
right word is. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not all Taycans and Luces. What have we been up to? Maybe I'll start because it's been a while.
Yeah.
I went to Radwood, Radwood in the Pacific Northwest.
How
so I don't know
was
if you guys are familiar, right? This is the 80s and 90s event that is owned now by Haggerty.
Yeah.
Right.
Friend of the show, Art, runs it.
Yeah.
And it was at Griot's Garage, which is down in Tacoma.
Nice.
My good friend Jeff Jones picked me up in his Spyder RS.
Nice.
And we
I
cruised
love that
down.
car, by the way. That's a very good example of a Spyder RS, Jeff. So.
Well, it's even more so. He probably should kill me for saying this. So he's upgraded the stereo. He's got a new exhaust coming. And there may be something soon happening to the cosmetics of the car, but I won't give too much away.
Okay.
So watch
but,
this space
for
Jeff's updates, huh?
Yeah, it's becoming the most loved Spyder RS there is, I think, on the market. But
That's
he's got some
awesome.
smart ideas for cosmetics, taking a note out of the ST's book. But I won't give any more away because that's... now, that car, I don't know if you guys have been in that car, but it has the air intakes by your ears.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So either side of the engine gets fed with air right by your right ear if you're a passenger, or your left ear if you're the driver, and it makes some great noises. So it was fun cruising down in that.
And you're about to arrive in style.
Right. There was no parking because it was all full for 80s and 90s. So we had to do a bit of a shortcut and find some parking. What sort of stuff would you expect to see at 80s and 90s? And I'll let you know if it was there.
DeLoreans.
E30
DeLoreans.
M3s.
Really?
Yes. Lots of E30 M3s.
And what are the
Riatas.
M5 of that era? I don't know the
E28.
E28. There you go.
E28. Yes, there was E28. I don't think I even know did you say Riata or Miata?
Yeah, the Buick Riata. When I went the first time to Radwood, there were like 4 of them. And I mean, that must be a huge percentage of the Riatas still on the road.
That are surviving. Yeah.
I'm impressed all these years later.
Yeah,
Radwood,
I wouldn't know whether I'd recognize one.
Oh,
So
that's probably a
could
U.S.
well be.
only car. Yeah.
Yeah, there was, and I don't think I've ever seen one in North America. Do you guys know what the Vauxhall Calibra is?
I don't know if I
Not
know.
that particular model. No.
I feel like I've seen them, but I might not have realized that's what it was called.
So this was, if you know the Cavalier, the Vauxhall Cavalier, you may know. This was the 2-door coupe version.
Oh.
And at the time, it had one of the most coefficient drags of any car. And it was one of those. But
That's amazing.
the one that really stole the show for me, winner of the show, you can't go wrong with a white Testarossa, can you? That's like...
No way. That's amazing. I mean, that is the definition of Radwood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So that was my winner. Second place, very close, was a yellow Saab 900 convertible turbo.
Oh, yeah.
Those 2 cars really sum up an era, sort of the beginning and the end. right?
Yeah.
Of that, place and time. So that's
Yeah.
pretty
Now I
great.
know. So I have been to Radwood in San Pedro. I haven't made it to the Pacific Northwest one yet. They always have an SUV section. Were there any of those at this one?
There was. I wouldn't say it was a dedicated section for SUVs.
Yeah.
There was a section for the GMCs. So they made the Cyclone, and what was the other one they made?
Oh,
For the Typhoon.
The Typhoon. There was multiple Typhoons and Cyclones.
Wow.
There was a whole
That's
weather front
surprising.
coming in at that point.
Batten down the hatches, guys. Redwood's in town.
And before I
don't think I've ever seen so many in one place, and I think there was like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again,
Amazing
I would
anything's
imagine
left.
that's like a good percentage of the ones that are left.
Right, especially in the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
So,
Well, that's cool.
Were there any
yeah, it
like
was a good event.
Land Cruisers or Broncos or
There was a
like
Bronco.
Isuzu
Yeah.
Trooper?
I saw a Bronco, and I don't think I saw any Land Cruisers or. It's weird because you get
They
selective
didn't make
vision.
it to the event. Sorry.
Yeah, they were camping by the side of the
What
road.
was I thinking of? In LA, I think there was a Sidekick. Weren't those Isuzus?
Like a Suzuki Sidekick?
Suzuki Sidekick. Thank you.
That's a
Yes.
car that was everywhere. Like, I don't know, when I was in high school, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been years since I've seen one. So
They had one at the event in LA, and it was such a blast from the past.
yeah.
It's funny. I think you look for the cars you want to see.
Right.
So there was
Yeah.
probably like all the cars you've mentioned were probably
They
there,
just
but I
didn't
just
register. Yeah.
didn't. Yeah. So that was a fun morning, Saturday morning, and then we
like
went
it,
on to the LeMay, which is the car
Oh,
museum, and they had a German event on.
Oh, how was that?
So it was good. Lots of Porsches, as you'd imagine.
Sure.
It was interesting. I think I saw 2 Mercedes in a field full of cars.
You're kidding.
It was just, people just don't have the Mercedes up here.
Yeah, it's
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
I mean, Pacific Northwest is dominated by Porsches, especially because
Yeah.
obviously a lot of them are all-wheel drive. But like lots of M2s. If you guys know Father Flywheel, Justin Osman, he was there with his RS6. So there were 2 Audis as well, so not many Audis. They were in the minority.
The others were all in for timing belt service.
There we go. But yeah, it was good to see some folks that I hadn't seen for a while, and so that was a good Saturday morning, a good way to kick off.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it was good fun.
That's
So,
awesome.
how about yourselves, Ryan? I think you've been driving some more rarefied cars, haven't you?
I've been
Yeah,
very
let's hear about it.
fortunate. Yeah, our friend Tom Horan let me drive his new 911R, which is sadly already moving on, but something
before it
even more
does.
incredible coming in its place. But so this is a really special example. You know the 911R. This was the car that Porsche came out. It was supposed to be the last manual Porsche, right? And it was basically the GT3 RS engine from 2014, 2015, and effectively a GT3 touring body before there was such a thing, as the touring that came along with the .2s. Many of these cars were white with red stripes or green stripes, and a lot of silver cars. This was a really special car, non-metallic black with black stripes, and this amazing, I'm going to forget the name of the color, but a dark brown interior with Pepita inserts, just spectacular. I don't know about you guys, the 911R was never really a car on my radar. I just didn't understand why people went on and on about this thing, right? Especially after the .2 touring came out. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is a very special thing. People seem to fall in one of two camps. People who have driven it, either, it's kind of like a touring, but a lot more expensive, or, oh yeah, that's the greatest thing I've ever driven. And I'm kind of in that second camp. There's something about it, 500 horsepower. It's that RS engine. It's, it's a manual, obviously, and it's got this really light flywheel that just gives the car a completely different character. So you do get that rattle at idle. It was just, it felt like 600 horsepower, right? It felt that much stronger even than 500 horsepower. Beautiful thing. People who know. I don't know if it's worth what they're trading for, especially in a spec like this, right, which is quite a bit more expensive than your typical white and silver cars. But just a fantastic experience. It's just, I swear that model, maybe because it was hand-built in a way that the others weren't, like this was going to be the swan song for Porsche's manual. That thing is like a vault, even in a way that other Porsches aren't. Just perfect shifting, the engine was strong. Great ride, great sound, just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Yeah, I'm a fan. 911R, drive one if you get a chance because they're really wonderful.
Thank heaven for friends who are generous with their keys, right?
I know. Yeah, pretty incredible. If I could afford one, I would buy one, but alas, I cannot. So
thank you so much to our friend Tom.
Absolutely. And then you get in, versus the touring, is it worth, twice as much or whatever? I don't know, but it does have its own character. The touring is wonderful, but there's something special about the 911R. I guess you get what you pay for, right? And the market sort of figures itself out. Some of the stuff they're intangibles, right? But they're still worth something. And, any modern Porsche really, right? They're all pretty great, especially with the GT cars, right? It's just, you're starting to, the decreasing returns, right? I mean, once you get up there. But yeah, this was really wonderful. One of the best cars I think I've driven in recent time for sure. So
you've gotten to drive some pretty fun stuff lately. So that's really saying something that this has sort of gotten under your skin the way it sounds like it did.
Well, I'm going to tell you a secret. I drove that car after I drove the Alfaholics GTA-R. Now, I've got a piece in Avance magazine that's coming out in September, a feature on the Alfaholics car. I've driven this before. It's a wonderful thing. Probably priced kind of in the same range as well, but couldn't be a more different car. It's awesome. It's special. I talk about in the article how it's like the fourth or fifth car for someone who's owned everything, right? When you're really kind of getting into the weeds with new stuff, new flavors. But it was that 911R that I really kind of fell in love with. So don't tell Tom. But
yeah,
they're historically significant because they paid for the development work for the GT3 Touring.
I didn't know that.
So they were a premium, so that they could justify and get the money into the program for the GT3 Touring. So, when you look at historically buying these cars at auction, etc., it has a story to tell as well, which is interesting.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
But it's a similar price to the ST, isn't it? So,
well, and it's kind of the same in the
vibe.
Same spirit, right?
Yeah.
That RS engine, right? It just got that little extra zing, right? Than the standard one. And so I've not driven the ST. Have either of you? I mean, we need to make this happen. If not,
no, we do need to.
I imagine that thing's also pretty wonderful. So
yeah,
that's the recipe right there. RS engine, no wing, manual transmission.
Job's a good one, as we would say. I got a question for you guys. What is right now the most popular in terms of demand new car on the market? So I was watching some YouTube algorithm and it showed me a top 10 list of all the cars that are currently, they measure it in terms of days availability. And this has less than 2 weeks stock across the US. Can you guess what car it is at number one? And there's a link here. It's Japanese.
Oh,
it's 4x4.
Oh.
The Lexus GX550.
It's not. It's the Land Cruiser.
Okay.
So they sell approximately 7,000 Land Cruisers a month at the moment. And at the moment, in stock across the US, there is less than 2,000 available. So you, Lindsey, drove one the other week and you were raving about it.
And everybody agrees.
Yeah. But the Land Cruiser has an older, more grown-up brother, doesn't it, in the Lexus family? And I think you've just got your hands on one of those, Lindsey?
I did. That was the GX550. And it's funny that you say that because I was just talking to a friend who said they had been on I think it was the Toyota lot. Maybe they thought it was Lexus. Whatever it was, they were saying this, but I didn't have enough details. But yeah, they were told by the dealer that they can't keep them on the lot. And they can't even get them when they do. So... so I had the GX550, which is the Lexus version of the current Land Cruiser, which outside the US is the Prado. And I had the Overtrail edition, which is the more off-road outfitted. It comes with tougher, running boards, higher suspension, knobby tires, and I did end up getting to take this one off-road. That was my one regret with the Land Cruiser, is that I did not have time to take it off-road. And it was really interesting going into that car, because when I drove the Land Cruiser, I was raving about it. My whole family fell in love with it. I was like, I could absolutely drive one of these every day. It fit my life very well, super usable, lovely, all of this. Everyone kept telling me that week, wait till you drive the Lexus. Wait till you drive the Lexus.
Mm-hmm. I think I told you that.
You did too. Yeah. And because the only thing that I noted about the Land Cruiser that I would change is a slightly bigger engine, because you do hear the engine noise. And it's
again,
not
we're talking
like
4-cylinder turbo versus 6-cylinder turbo,
right?
Lexus. Yeah.
So, my like ideal dream spec would be the Land Cruiser with the engine that's only available in the Lexus, the V6. So I got into the Lexus thinking like all will be solved, and I was surprised how much you still do hear the engine, given what everybody had sort of set me up to expect. And so it was interesting because it didn't feel like it was enough of a difference given the price increase, where, maybe you go get one that's a couple years old, let somebody else take the hit if you really want the Lexus. But it felt similar enough to the Land Cruiser that I think you could get the Land Cruiser and be very happy with it. But I will say, we did have a chance to take the Lexus off-road, and it totally transformed how we were feeling about the car. It was super fun. And the funniest part was, we had gone up a trail. We were out in Riverside and took a trail there that we thought would go all the way through into Orange County and basically put us like not far from where we wanted to end up, but it was closed because of the fire danger, because it's been so hot here. So we hit the gate, closing the trail, and went to turn around. The only other car that we saw on the trail that day, we were out there for a bit, was another Lexus GX550.
Really? Oh, really?
It was, and we were just like, we had the best time. The other driver got out and we got to meet them and chatted a little bit, and I told him about the show. And
cool.
So he had
always be selling,
exactly. So he had the premium edition with off-road tires. So I think it would be interesting to see how that feels like for daily use, because I think that might be the sweet spot. If you want the Lexus, get the premium one, and like maybe put a little bit of the off-road stuff on it. Because when you think about it, unless you were buying it and you're going to be off-roading regularly, which I would venture to say most of us are not, the premium is probably going to be a better experience day to day, and it's still super capable off-road. So I think it's a great option. It was interesting in the Land Cruiser, I had an adult and 2 kids in the back seat, and in the Lexus, it just worked out that I had 2 adults and a child in the back seat, and it was a little tighter. Obviously, everybody was bigger. In the first scenario, everybody was like, this is fantastic, plenty of room. So it just depends on who you're carting around and what your lifestyle is, I think.
Let me ask you, I think because, I'm in Denver, obviously, so I'm at altitude, and I drove both of these trucks in the mountains. So, I'm at 5280 or whatever here at my house. And we were probably double that a lot of the time. I was behind the wheel of both these cars. And I know turbos go a long way in compensating for altitude, power loss, this kind of thing. But I think why I like the Lexus even more, I think the distinction was even greater, was here that larger displacement engine fills in some of the gap right before you get into the turbo, right?
That makes sense.
I found the Toyota a little more on off, and if it were up to me, I'm probably buying the Toyota just because it's cheaper and it's basically the same thing and that kind of. But there was something about that 6-cylinder. And I think we drive so few 6-cylinders anymore too. Everything's a 4-cylinder turbo that just. But again, the Land Cruiser is already pretty great. That was just that extra 10% or whatever.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No. I mean,
great vehicles, and they're everywhere.
I think you'd be lucky to have either one. My sister and her family were in Colorado, and they did some off-roading, and it was almost entirely new Land Cruisers and FJs, and that was really fun to see, especially having experienced both of the Land Cruiser versions and knowing that you've done that. So I don't think you could go wrong with either one of them. I think it's a matter of sort of fine tuning based on what you're going to be using it for, and then, go from there.
Do you recall the stickers on both of those, the MSRP on each of those?
Yeah, that was the other thing that was surprising. So the Land Cruiser that I had, the sticker price was $70, and the Lexus that I had was $77. So that was another thing where we were like, there's really not, like, there wasn't a huge price difference if you really wanted the Lexus badging,
right.
Like if that was important to you. Like, it's very accessible if you're already into the Land Cruiser territory. But yeah, they were closer together, but I think obviously when you get into like the premium on the Lexus, like the premium trim, it gets closer to 90, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is. So that's why I always say, find whatever you want, find one that's a couple years old with the CPO, and it opens up a lot more possibilities.
Yeah. Good trucks.
Yeah.
Well, it might be easier to buy the Lexus in the minute, right? Based on demand.
Right. You have 6 months of those that are like the Charger EV, Dan, right?
Right.
There we go.
Wheeling and dealing at the Lexus dealership.
But it sounds like the Toyota guys are actually putting ADMs and all that malarkey in there. Just
come on.
Can't believe we're back to, dealer-fitted accessories.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want the fluffy dice, but I paid to have it put in the...
But the undercoating, that's where it's at.
Oh,
I mean, that's worth it all day
Oh,
long.
man.
Yeah.
And if you get the premium undercoating, they stand on one leg while they spray it on.
You get 2 layers, right?
Dealers say. What else have you been driving, Lindsay? You've had any other cars?
I have. So I had what might be my favorite press car so far this year, only because of the livery, shall we say. I had a new Bronco. It was a 4-door Big Bend with the 4-wheeling graphics. And so it was the sunset stripes. And it just, even sitting in the driveway, it made us smile. And I was talking to a neighbor and mentioned that I had this amazing Bronco. And she's like, "That's you. I've seen it driving around. I love it. It's so cute." And the day before it went back, it was, yeah. I would venture to say it is cute.
It is kind of cute.
It is, it's just so cheerful. It's so happy. And it was, you guys have experienced this too. Like, obviously, whatever you just stepped out of colors your experience, even initially, or like at least initially when you get in the next thing. So I went from the Lexus to the Bronco, and, we were talking about like engine noise or road noise in the Land Cruiser and the Lexus. And the Bronco's a very different thing. I think we noticed the wind noise in the Bronco a lot more just because it was so different from the Lexus. But the solution is you just take the tops off, and then you're expecting the wind noise, and it's so much more fun. So it was great. Like, we ended up taking it to the beach and cruise down PCH in Huntington with the tops off and the windows down. And it was like, it does not get much better than being in the like sunset stripe Bronco on PCH. Like, name a better scenario. I'll wait.
I mean, that's in its element for sure.
Yeah. I was
Which engine was it?
Yeah. That is a good question, and I am blanking at the moment. I will get back to you.
So I think they do 2.2 and a 2.7.
I can look it up if you guys want to chit chat about something else. I can tell you exactly what it was.
I just wondered what it was like on the freeway, like whether it was nippy. And
it was. Yeah, because we did some like running around picking up car parts, just like in LA and Orange County. It was great. Like, great pickup. The
Good
throttle, stereo? We never turned the radio on. We were having too much fun just enjoying the car.
Yeah.
We don't listen to the radio that much because we talk too much.
No, I'm kind of with you. But in a vehicle like that, where you're out cruising,
Right. Like, had I thought to turn the radio on, when we were going to the beach, like that would have been, do some Beach Boys on the radio. But yeah, even just around town, it was great. Like, super usable, comfortable. And that one is really special because the stitching inside, so the stripes are like, it goes from red, orange, yellow, and there's like 5 or 6 different shades in the gradient. So inside, the stitching on the seats is red, orange, and yellow. And then the inserts on the seats mimics the stripes. And, there's embossed horses and just all sorts of little fun touches that made it feel really fun. And it was like, if you want something that's going to lift your spirits, this is the car to go get in that like paint job package. So I will look up the engine.
Nice.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Here we go. Well, while you're looking up the engine, so Ryan, you alluded to it, but I think you've got 2 articles coming out in Advance, and I will just give a quick plug. I'm showing the latest version of Advance with the Carrera GT in yellow on the front, because I've got an article in that one.
And it's a very good article.
That's kind of you to say so.
That's
it was
awesome.
heavily edited, but
Stop.
Well, so what did you write about?
I wrote about an off-road experience last November when we went to SEMA. It took 2 days and went through the desert. And
Yes.
I talked to Carl, who's the editor-in-chief, and said, hey, do you want the story for the magazine? And he said, yeah, it's a different story. Would love that. So it's funny, like I sent him the article probably January, February of this year, and it's taken, that long because, Carl does a great job of having themes for each magazine episode and, making sure that everything's curated. But Ryan, you've got 2, so you're not just 1, but 2.
Well, they haven't come out yet. And they may be really heavily edited. We'll see.
It's a story.
But go check out Dan's article because it really is great. The photography is great. And, as an author, you want to put the reader in your shoes. And I felt like the article really does that. It was an adventure. It was I don't know. It was.
And he took us along with
I
him.
wanted to be there. It was cool.
I know.
Yeah, and a shout out to Ivan, who's the photographer.
Yeah.
Well, and I realized that issue arrived at the house, and I was flipping through it, and I saw the title, and I went, "Wait a minute, that sounds like what Dan did." And then I flipped to the article and realized it was your article.
There we go.
Guys, it's so cool that we're in the circles we are because hardly a day goes by where I just don't run into a friend's article, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's a car magazine or a car website, something like Avance. It's just, and oftentimes I don't catch it when I start reading it. And like, this sounds kind of, like someone I might know. And then I go up, back up and see the author, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's
and there's
really
something
fun.
about print too, right? To see your name in print, to see your piece in print, that's special. So. Plug for Avance.
Rarefied air here.
Yeah. And then this
kudos
next
to you
issue
both.
with my 2 articles is September 15th, I believe. So we'll look for that when it comes out. But one's on Bruce Meyer, which I think we've talked about. The other's on Tom Horan's Alfaholics GTA-R, which is a hell of a car. It's really, really pretty cool. But much like your article, assisted in great part by wonderful photography too. So can't wait. Great opportunity. Avance magazine is really, really
They do good stuff.
on a great tear right now. So
Well, and they just
cool.
had their Classics on the Green. Dan, did you get to go to that?
I didn't know. I was otherwise unavailable, but it looked very good.
Yeah, it did.
I got to go last year, and it's such a lovely event. It's at the Chateau Saint Michel Winery in Woodinville, which is on the east side of the greater Seattle area. And Chrissy and Adam, they just put together like such a cool collection of cars. You see some really unique stuff, and it's lovely because it's sort of like going to the Derby. People dress up and they have sun hats, and it's a very, it's a more of a genteel Cars and Coffee. They would probably cringe at me calling it a Cars and Coffee. So Cars and Wine.
I helped exhibit at that show a few years ago.
Did you?
Did you?
And I moved a car onto the lawn and moved it around car parks and stuff. So in essence, I guess it's long enough now that I can talk about it. So there were 3 cars that were shipped up from LA. One was a Ferrari F40, one was an EB110, and one was a Roof Yellowbird. And
that's a trio.
Right.
That's
the keys were there, and I was given the opportunity of 1 set of keys out of the 3. So what'd you go for? Bearing in mind I'm 6'2", and
all right, I'll tell you what I'm going for. and I don't know that I would fit, and this is a whole other discussion, right? But as crazy as this sounds, I'm probably more likely to have an opportunity to drive a roof or an F40 before I would ever have another opportunity to drive an EB110. So EB110 for me.
Nice.
And that's a crazy thing to say.
That was a well thought out. Well, but again, like, how lucky are we, right?
I know.
So, Lindsay, which would you have picked?
I would choose the F40.
Interesting. So my decision was based on would I fit in the car and how many of them were made. And when you look at the F40, I think there's over 2,000. When you look at the EB110, I think it's around 500. It's definitely six figures. Sorry, three figures. My maths is not good tonight. There were 29 roof yellowbirds, and not all were yellow. So I took the roof.
Yeah, that was probably
That's the one I want to take home. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very good car.
And you're saying there's a higher likelihood of that.
Well, now he's writing with Bruce. Maybe Bruce will lend him his yellowbird, number one.
I heard you have an open storage spot, right?
Yeah. Very good. Shall we talk about some rumors and ideas that we've seen in the press?
Yes, sir.
Let's move on a little bit. Right, let's start with...
Shall I quickly answer the question so we can close the loop on the Bronco?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yes.
It was a 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine.
Okay, so that's the lower powered one, and you're saying it was still pretty...
It was perfect.
Pretty nippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like no lag getting on the freeway. It was interesting because the throttle, some throttles are heavier than others. This one was kind of middle of the road. It was solid, but not enough where you're like, okay, my leg's going to get tired on a road trip. No. So highly recommend.
We all need one. Yeah.
Yep, we do.
Very good.
I certainly do.
So I don't know if you guys have seen this in the press, but Porsche everyone uses the Nürburgring to test, don't they? And some cars are more disguised than others. But Porsche are test driving and prototyping a GT3 with a ducktail on the back. So I wondered whether it could be the new Sport Classic.
Yeah.
Because every generation they seem to have a Sport Classic. The last generation was a turbo-engined, rear-wheel drive, manual car with a ducktail. But what else could it be?
Did it have the double bubble roof by chance?
I don't think it did.
Yeah. I'm still going with Sport Classic. Right? Yeah. You think ducktail, you think Sport Classic. So.
It did have GT3 Touring written on the back, on the engine bay. But that, they could put anything on it. Right.
Is that like a misdirection?
Could be. It could be. I mean, Porsche recently come out. The CEO has said that he intends to, produce less cars but make more money on the cars they're producing.
Right.
So maybe
can we talk about that for just a second?
I mean, don't we all want to do less work?
I mean, right. That's the dream, right? But this is when we need the new, I don't know, you call it 914, 924, whatever, right? More than ever, we need an accessible Porsche because even though those last 718 Caymans, even the base four cylinders, some of them were $90,000 before they stopped making the 718, That's way too much money for 95% of America, maybe more, right? We need an entry-level Porsche. I think that's the direction we should be going, but
it would be good.
We don't run Porsche.
None of us are going to complain, right?
Well, here's the question for you, Ryan. Would you buy, hypothetically, an Audi that was like Porsche designed Audi? Yeah. So in the same way, obviously, the RS was RS2. They put.
Well, this goes back to the like even earlier, I think, right? I mean, there was the Volkswagen Fox that was also the Audi Fox. I mean, there was, and I think they made these mistakes before. There was just too much, I don't know, incestuous stuff going on with Porsche, Volkswagen, and Audi, and I think, it burned them forever, right? So I don't know that they would ever do anything like that again, Dan. Like you're talking about basically a Porsche engineered Audi sports car.
Yeah. In the same way they did it with the RS2, right? The wagon. They worked with Mercedes on was it the E500?
That's right.
So, if they did a Audi TT Porsche designed, like, would that work to fill in that little gap you're talking about?
It's interesting because I want both of those cars very much. This is some
So
of,
he's
to
like,
me,
let me
some
get
of the,
both, and then I will tell you.
I mean, just wonderful cars, right? Although I've not driven either one. I know I have a couple friends here in Denver who do have 500Es or E500s, so maybe the RS2 is a little tougher to come by anymore. But I don't know. It's I think it would be all in the marketing, right? And it would have to be amazing, right? It would have to look great. That's a tough one.
And drive great, right?
And drive great, yeah. And
Ultimately,
really,
yeah.
like, no excuses, right? No excuses. And
No
the price point would have to
compromises.
be, price point would have to be like 60 or 70 grand, I would think, to make it make sense.
Would it appeal to you, Lindsay? Like the Porsche designed TT, knowing that it's engineering excellence.
I think it's one of those things that you would end up, you're like, in theory, it's great, but in practice, people kind of go like, I don't know. And it's not like, obviously we know Porsche does amazing work. Anything Porsche design is going to be great, you assume. But I think it's kind of one of those like Frankenstein monster things where you're like, it's too many things mishmash is kind of, that's my gut reaction. But I mean, check with me if it really comes out, right?
People are going to take the Audi badge off and put a Porsche badge on.
I think the alternative to that, though, is you have to go and find another brand, right? Because Porsche are not going to build that car that you're looking for, Ryan.
Yeah, I know.
Not right now.
Okay, let me ask you this. Are you fans of this new Volare concept car that Audi's come out with? Because that's a love it or hate it proposition. Have you seen this thing?
There's only 500 of them. So,
but what about a mini one of those, a mini new Volare?
Well, I think we've seen that already, haven't we? We've seen that in the TT Electric.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird, like, again, I think they'd have to get it just right, because anything short of just right, and it's going to become the laughing stock, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Ryan. Like anything where you go, well, it's almost a something, and so I'm just going to switch the badges. I feel like you've lost before you even start if people are like, well, it's close. It's like what a lot of people experience with like replicas versus the real thing, where your entire experience is people going like, well, but is it real? And you have to say, oh, it's replica or whatever. I think it's one of the, like, where you go, oh, it's an accessible Porsche, but it's not really. And so then you end up in this weird limbo, like,
Here's what I'm afraid is going to happen. Porsche really will follow in the path of modern Ferrari, right? Where there's not much in that modern Ferrari, price be damned, there's not much in the modern Ferrari lineup that I really lust after. The stuff I lust after are 355s and 348s and 550s and 575s and F40s and that kind of thing. And I'm just afraid that if Porsche follows in the footsteps, I think Ferrari should be going the other way. I think there should be a new Dino. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
It's not where the money's at, though, is it?
I know, but that's the problem. Because
that's the business problem.
I know, but it wasn't always like that, right? You know, I'm working on the Colorado Grand car descriptions right now for the 2026 running of the Grand. And by the way, we have some wonderful cars. Just amazing stuff. But one of the things I really love is
anything?
I don't think anyone will get too mad if I say there are 4 D-types, Jaguar D-types.
Nice.
And 20 odd some Ferraris. But what's cool is, you know, so many of these cars have a competition history when you talk about the D-type, right? When you talk about, you know, something like a 250 GTO or whatever. And a lot of these people submit photos of the era. And some of the photos are like the car rolling out of the factory with all the engineers, and they're like white coats, and they're taking pictures, and they're smoking cigars and cigarettes. And it's just like, there's a vibe, right? There's just a vibe, and it's special. Some of the cars, you know, are photographed in competition. And there's something analog, there's something real that, you know, I know those days are long gone, but it wasn't always about what it's about now. And I guess that's what turns me off. It's just, you meet someone like, yeah, they're not for me, right? And unfortunately, I feel that way about a lot of the stuff from Ferrari these days, and increasingly the Porsche stuff, right? When I saw that new, 911 Carrera T come out with wheels that were hideous, right? The new GT3 Touring has some funky bits. I don't know if you've seen Harry's Garage, Harry Metcalf, driving the thing, where, I don't need to have a badge that says lightweight, right, on the center stack. I don't need a sticker in the window that tells me it's a manual transmission. That's just, is gauche the word?
Yeah.
Not a German word, but, it's just, I think we're just going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the complaints when the ST came out, right? Didn't it have a manual sticker in the window? And people were like, why would you do that? That's the first thing I'm taking off.
Yeah. Is there a new car that you guys lust after? Because for me, there is one Ferrari new I lust after. But before we get to mine, is there a brand new car that you lust after for its looks? I mean,
this should be easy, guys. This should be so easy.
I know.
Lindsay's going to say a Bronco with a special color pack on it. But
no, I was thinking, I'm like, this is totally not the type of car we've been talking about. But I mean, of course, a Defender.
Here we go, an Octa.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That or a G-Wagon, although I don't love the interiors, but I think just as a thing, the G-Wagon's pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
Despite it all, I'd still take a GT3 or something. But
yeah.
I'd take a 991.2 Touring before I take a 992.2 Touring. So
you're like, I'll be generous, and I will accept.
Are we that old? Are we at that point now where we just start buying the old stuff, right? Where, the oldies stations on the radio play the music of our youth. It's no longer the 50s and 60s stuff. It's, the Gin Blossoms. This is where we're there, guys.
The first time you hear your music on the oldie station is one of those touchstone where you're just like, this cannot be happening.
They don't call it the oldies though. What do they call it? Is it
classics now or something? Because it's not classic rock.
I'm clearly not in the same demographic as you two. The Ferrari 12-cylinder convertible, I just think that is one of the most beautiful cars ever made. I would, if I had the money, I would buy one tomorrow. It's that beautiful.
I need to think a lot bigger is what I'm hearing.
It looks like a modern Daytona.
Oh, yeah. And I remember, was it last year or the year before, where they were everywhere at Car Week, at least the coupe, right? I don't know that it's beautiful, but it is cool. It is cool.
Yeah, that's a good choice, Dan.
Yeah.
I need to think like a lottery winner rather than a...
I mean,
right.
You're going to need to be a lottery winner to put gas in an Octa.
Yeah, it's easy to hate when it's completely irrelevant, these choices, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, it's so I have heard rumors that McLaren will be at the Quail and they will be unveiling a limited edition manual car. So following in the footsteps of Ferrari, that obviously have just released a manual car. And if you think about
manual car, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's technically, well, you can stall it, right? So I'm calling it a manual. That's my definition of a manual. Can you install it?
Yeah.
And I will.
Right.
Watch
and
this.
If you remember the three, McLaren, Ferrari, and Aston Martin, around the same sort of time, all got together and produced these topless cars, didn't they? There was the Monza SP3 or SP2 or something. There was the Elva, and Aston Martin had one. So it sounds like Ferrari were first out the gates. It sounds like McLaren are going to bring one to the market. And I don't know if it counts, but Aston Martin have got the Valor, which is a sold-out 110 build manual car.
Yeah.
So
they're going to run out of V words. I'm just saying.
We're just going to start making them up.
Didn't those topless cars didn't they also come without windscreens?
Right.
And Monza did,
at least
for sure.
Some of them were refitted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't give those things away at first.
I was
is
Car
anyone
Week
going to care?
when the Monza was debuted, and they had a whole bunch of them that were moving around on Moss, kind of, and to the uneducated at the time, it was like, what is that, and why would you not want a windshield?
Yeah.
Goggles.
Live and learn. Yeah.
You want to get that dirt around your eyes when you take the, you roll up to the club, right? You take
the authenticity,
those leather goggles. Yeah. Right. What's up?
So we will watch this space to see whether the McLaren does come to the quail. But if it does, you heard it here first.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go.
Yep. I think they will. I think 100%. Money's on that for sure.
So we will see. Morgan. So Morgan, the great British brand, is bringing their car to market in the US. They, because of restrictions, they're not allowed to bring what I would call the full fat version, and they have to bring a smaller engine car. Who buys them, Morgan?
You mean besides Jerry Seinfeld?
Yeah, does he have one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a big Morgan enthusiast.
Interesting.
Our buddy Jason Meshnek, who writes for Autoblog and other outlets, he had one in LA for a week. He said it was the greatest car he's driven in forever. He said it was transformative.
But I would put money that he had the bigger engine.
I think he did. I think it was a European car. But I love Morgan so much. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I think it was last year's car. We were at Motorlux, and it started to sprinkle. It started to rain, and there was a man out there wiping down a car. It was a Morgan, and he was the CEO of Morgan. I mean, give me one other car brand, right, that would ever happen with, right? So there's something just special. I would buy one. I really would. Now, I think that's a very location dependent device, right? I mean, I think if you lived in Carmel or something, beautiful. I don't know if Omaha, Nebraska, it's going to have quite the same appeal, right?
Well, or in the mountains, would you have one in Denver?
I've never driven one. And I think, that's, again, probably a car that's a third or fourth or a fifth car.
Right.
Because is it the fastest thing? No. I mean, there's it's got its lane that, it belongs in. And, it's I don't know if that would ever be my go-to sports car, but it just as a tourer, I mean, wonderful.
Right.
Thing, right?
What percentage?
If you had the ability to have, a fleet, that'd be a fun thing to have in the fleet.
I had 6 cars, sure.
What percentage do you think you lose of performance being in Denver? 20, 30% on a...
Yeah, I forget what the algorithm is, right? It's always about the algorithm. But I think it's something like, is it 2 or 3% for every 1,000 feet you go up from sea level, right? Maybe a little bit more. I think 2 to 3%. Some engineer out there will call me out on this. So, maybe at home I don't notice it so much, a little bit. I've driven my car or, the equivalent of my car, an Angeles Crest, and it feels like it's got an extra 50 or 100 horsepower. But, with that smaller engine, that would be tough in the mountains, I think, On the Grand, there are a lot of cars. Now, again, this is generally, 1960 and earlier cars, but there are a lot of cars we just don't allow on because, they've got to climb 14,000, foot passes or whatever it is. So
well, I mean,
it's a real consideration.
Well, this is the same weight as a Miata, and it's 255 horsepower. So I'm not convinced Denver is the right market for it.
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
No. I don't think.
So
it'd be
Ryan,
slow.
you'll just have to leave it at your Malibu house, which is fine.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, you have the right tool for every job, and that is a good fit there. And then you find some other stuff.
But there are people listening, and I know they are, that have that at their disposal, right? Multiple homes with, the horse for the course or whatever,
exactly.
Right? And that would do the trick.
And if there are people listening and interested, there is a beta configurator on the Morgan website because I went and had a look, and I think I put one extra on it, and it was 120K. So
you said a beater configurator or a beta configurator?
We would call it beta, but beta, tomato, tomato, whatever.
I thought maybe they were still ironing out the wrinkles or something.
Yeah, no.
If you
so
want
it's not production fully, right? But yeah, 120K. Okay. So that's
that's a Boxster 4.0, right? That's right. I mean, that's or a
Lotus.
Spyder. That's a Corvette ZR or not a ZR1, but a Z06, right? I mean, it's
actually pretty accessible compared to when you consider a lot of the stuff we talk about. That's much more accessible than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, watch this space on that. Car Week is shortly upon us, and some things are new, such as last week's show. changing of the guard.
Right.
And that was a great show, by the way, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
If
Thank
you guys
you.
haven't listened to it, who are listening today, there's a changing the guard at Pebble Beach. And I think we got an exclusive, right?
We did.
I think so. I haven't seen him on any other podcasts, as our friend Lynn Woodward would say. How about them apples, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine he'll start popping up on other shows now. But
they're going to notice that he was on our show.
Wonderful. Yeah, he's awesome. He's like our age.
Yeah.
And he's like been handed the keys to this thing, that we know and love. And
That we love.
but he's the guy to do it. He's awesome. Yeah.
So check out Vince on last week's show if you haven't listened to it.
It was a really great
so new
conversation.
things
And he was super fun to record with.
Yeah.
New things at Car Week, but there's also traditional things at Car Week. And one of the traditional things are the auctions.
Right.
It's usually, for a lot of the auction houses, it's usually their top auction. So the one where they're going to make the most money, the one where records are going to be broken, it's a big deal. So we thought we would have a look at some of the highlights and maybe lowlights so we've got a few picks of what's going on, and generally speaking, if you've not been to Car Week and you're going this year, you can get a pass to go look at these cars at those auction houses. If you are credible enough to be a bidder, then they'll let you in for free. If not, I think they charge a very small amount for you to go and have a look. So first up on the lot, and I want you guys to keep your paddles down on this one.
Don't worry. They wouldn't give me one, Dan.
RM Sotheby's.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a tradition for Ferrari, is that when they have a new model, they tend to do like chassis zero for charity. I really hope that this sells because it's for charity, but it's the very first Ferrari Luce.
Yeah. Boy, this is...
So who's buying that? And I've put in the comments, is it a rich person looking for a tax write-off and wanting to save the planet?
Mm-hmm. I hope that person shows up.
They're 600,000, I think, new. This one is a tailor-made one, so it's obviously bespoke.
Yeah.
But like, how much bespoke really is there going to be in that car? And then they're advertising it for $1 million.
Yeah. What is it? A special color? What are we dealing with? What are we working with? Oh, it's white.
It's not even red.
The worst color for a Ferrari, generally speaking.
Well, unless it's a Testarossa, Ryan.
Right.
That's right. How much cocaine is in the door sills of this Luce?
Not enough is the answer.
Value add, yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm sure someone will. $1 million is nothing to so many of
Right. Plus,
there's a lot of people
that,
for charity. Yeah. Somebody, some magnanimous individual will show up and help.
Well, didn't they get $1 million for some sort of Corvette recently? Like maybe the first ZR1 or something. So maybe this isn't so far. Like the gulf between sticker and prediction.
Yeah, although I think on the ZR1, it's a slightly different story because I think it's Mr. Hendricks and he collects 01 of every GM car.
Okay.
Oh,
and he's got a big choke. So, but there could be a Mr. Hendricks for Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
So,
it'll always be 000 or whatever. So.
Yeah, we won't kind of lament this point long term, but
but the new owner sure will.
There we go. I wonder if this is a car that history is going to be kind to. So over the years, there's been various cars that just didn't sell when new, weren't well received. Examples I can think of were the E30 M3, the E36 Lightweight, the LFA when it came out, they didn't sell.
Right.
But now there's a market for it. And I also think, and this is going to be the most controversial thing I've said all year, I think the Cybertruck at some point in the future will become a design icon. I watched a Harry's Garage video with the Bizzarini. Did you guys see that one?
Yeah.
No. So what interests me on this new Bizzarini was it was designed by Fabrizio Giugiaro of Ital Design, very famous designer. He's designed all sorts. I know that the guy who penned the Enzo, the Cybertruck, is his favorite design and car.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So that's Ken Okayama. But Fabrizio turned up in a Cybertruck. So these famous designers are all buying Cybertrucks. So we won't lament on this point because it's, we're not a big fan, or I'm not a big fan of that car. But
your prediction is that it will be a cult classic.
It's funny you mentioned two middle-aged men because you've seen the meme going around the internet, right? About how, have you ever seen a Cybertruck pull into a parking spot and a family gets out? No, it's always one middle-aged man.
One guy.
That's the target, or that's who this thing is resonating with. It's non-design, right? What was that car you had at the Peterson, Dan, that DeMuro drove in one of his videos? That was just
the low res.
Yeah, the low res. I mean, that is this car as production vehicle.
Yeah.
Right. I guess I'd have to look at the numbers to see if they'd ever actually be truly collectible, right? Because I know they've only made a fraction of what they were predicting, but that's interesting.
We'll revisit. We'll put this podcast in a time capsule and revisit it in 20 years' time, and then we'll note that. Anyway, let's move on to some cool cars because we've done it with the electric stuff.
Are you saying the Cybertruck isn't cool?
At the moment, in 20 years' time, it will be. Right, McLaren F1 GT-R. And this car is one of two short-tailed development prototypes. RM, again, are having this car. I think it's going to be one of the biggest hitters of the week. They are quoting 35 million, but who knows? This car also belongs to Nick Mason of Pink Floyd. So it's got all the pedigree. It's got the famous owner. It's got the history. 35 million.
What's a regular F1 going for these days?
About 20.
Okay.
There's less than 100 in existence. Okay. So, but if you think about it, you've got Gordon Murray's legacy. His new cars are fetching stupid money. And what I mean by that is, I think they're about 2 million, the T50, and one sold for 8. So, and it's just supply and demand. There aren't any more, so.
Well, why do you think those took a minute to catch on, to catch fire? Catch fire is not the word we want to use, the phrase you want to use.
Not literally.
Wishful thinking.
But when those cars were announced, right, I don't think that they sold out immediately. There was some marketing going on by our friends at GMA. Some friends of mine were the recipient of those marketing efforts. And, and that was 2 years ago? I remember at Car Week, they were really pushing them, and they're already now trading for 4 times that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I think people realize how good a driver's car they are, right? And then you look
one of the best.
What else the stable of Gordon Murray is bringing out, right? It's a cheap car versus a 20 million car, right? They've got 4, 5, 20 million cars, $20 million cars with the S1 LM. I thought you were talking about the McLaren F1. Sorry, I was. Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. RM Sotheby's. I hope it gets good money. Yeah. It's also interesting that Nick Mason has decided to sell that car. He also owns a 250 GTO.
Right. So famously.
Yeah. So I wonder why he's decided now is the time to sell the McLaren F1.
Yeah.
So Nick, if you're listening, give us a call. Let us know.
We'd love to know.
We'll help you sell it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. JDM. There are 2, not 1, but 2. When I started to do this research for this show, I thought, there's a 1 of 44 Nissan Nismo 400R. And then I did a bit more research, and there's actually 2 because Broad Arrow and Gooding both have 1.
Oh, funny.
So
is this the NSX-R of 2026?
It's
Car Week auctions?
But they made 44 of the race inspired road cars.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know much about that. Yeah, I'm just not a big JDM guy. So some of the, some of the variants are lost on me. That said, last couple of years at Car Week, I've really started to pay attention to these cars and know a couple guys here locally who have them, and they're pretty wonderful. They're pretty great, right? Even just the bog standard cars. So
Yeah.
I don't know. This might be, maybe these cars are worth it. I just, again, not for the casual enthusiast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The record for a JDM car at auction was a LFA with the Nürburgring package,
Oh yeah.
and that sold for 1.6.
What? And that's it. That is the that set the bar. Now that had a certain color, right? Those were painted a certain.
They did
do you
two
recall?
colors, I believe. I think it was
Okay.
yellow and black. I might be wrong.
Okay.
Definitely yellow. There was
Yellow's
some
the
in
one I
yellow, but it
remember,
wasn't
yeah.
unique yellow. I thought it was for a long time.
Yeah.
They did
okay.
a second color, and they had a few more horsepower. I think they had 10 more horsepower, larger rear wing, and there were only 64 of those in the world.
Wow.
So
Well, that
Yeah.
helps.
Again, that's a car I remember at the Chicago Auto Show, whatever was it, 2012 or whatever, when those came out, and they had a whole row of them. And I was so impressed. Chicago Auto Show has 10 of these. Well, then I realized, they just hadn't sold, right?
Just didn't
at
sell
the
new.
yeah, no, at the time, they didn't really do anything for me. The exhaust pipes, and I don't know, they just didn't quite look cohesive. But man, now they look great, I think. And that engine, if you've ever been next to one, at Fire Up, they're a very special thing. So
There's a Car Wow video that's just come out that is the Carrera GT versus the LFA.
saw that, yeah,
And I won't spoil it, but that's two V10s that make great noises.
yeah,
So check out that. It's interesting because I think one of the reasons they've become more of a cult classic is a certain Mr. Clarkson said it was the best car he's ever driven.
That helps.
Yeah. He's not an influencer, but he definitely is an influencer.
We did say this is the best car podcast you'd ever heard.
He said that more than once, right? So it
know.
must be true.
Yeah.
Pretty cool,
Yeah. He said, I hope those guys don't do a farming podcast because I'm screwed.
That's right. Put them out of business.
Yeah, there we go. Let's get a Meekum. Lindsey, a yellow Ferrari F50, does that appeal?
Actually, yes. Yeah. So I would prefer a red, but I think the yellow is unexpected and fun. I will
look pretty
accept.
good. Yeah.
I think you will find, because it's one of 31, I don't know how many F50s they made. Obviously, a lot less than the F40. And obviously, it's the last manual, what was it?
Halo
It was every
car.
10 years they did a Halo car, didn't they? 288, F40, etc. So I think because it's yellow, it's probably a special color and it'll probably create more value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
it's a
car
good
that,
investment.
that yellow looks good on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? It's a hit or miss
Yeah.
color.
I remember being at Car Week one year and driving down the road, and there were 4 F50s coming the other way. Like, that doesn't happen anywhere else in the world apart from Car Week.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I have to. So we've had a couple friends of ours come up to us recently and say, I've never been to Car Week. I don't think it's for me. This is why this is for you, because you see things like 4 F50s,
Right.
roaring past you, because you
I
won't
would-
see that anywhere else.
I know. I was just thinking about it today, kind of in passing. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is, like you just said, Ryan, you can just walk around town. You don't have to go to any events. And one of my favorite things has been, like, the first night in town, just go walk through Carmel. You see some unbelievable stuff on the street, or just driving to the different events. Probably 2 to 3 years ago, there was this armada of the 6x6 G. There were 2 6x6 G wagons, and one of the 2-door cabrio, and then there was another unique one.
Sure.
And they would move all 4 of them just around town.
Yeah, Landaulet, I think, was one of them.
Yes, it was. That's what it was. And they're just driving around town.
Yeah, that's
great.
crazy. There is a bit of a shake-up going on this year at the auctions. So traditionally, Bonhams have been associated with the quail.
Right.
And it used to be a bit of an inside baseball thing where you could actually park at the Bonhams auction and get into the quail instead of having to do the quail car park. That's now stopped, and they have moved to Laguna Seca. So they will be, for the first time, doing their auction at Laguna Seca. Obviously, they have a few race inspired cars, and the one that caught my eye was in essence, it's an Indy race car, Volstead I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, Lindsey. I don't know if you're the expert on classic American Ford race cars.
I try.
Or just say yes.
Yeah.
And the reason I called this one out is that actually it was Jim Clark's last US race car.
Interesting.
Before the following year he passed. He raced Dan Gurney in an Eagle in it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a pretty cool car. And from talking to Gordon Murray, Gordon said that Jim Clark was the best racer he's ever seen. And he worked with Senna, Prost, etc.
Yeah.
So, that's a pretty cool car.
That's pretty special.
So
I mean, that's first person, listeners. That's
right.
That's Dan just talking with his mate Gordon. So.
the big Gordon, yes.
Yeah.
So that means that there is a void at the Quail that has been fulfilled by Broad Arrow. So Broad Arrow have now slid into the Quail, and their auction will be where where the Bonham's tent used to be. Yeah. And as I said earlier, they've got a 400R. They've got 3 singers. Has the boat now sailed on auction singers because it's getting oversaturated?
Possibly. I mean, if they have 3 of them in the same, that's interesting. Obviously, all the singers are so unique that maybe it doesn't apply in that sense because they're all so different from each other.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, because they're fundamentally wonderful creations, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not all hype, right? They're pretty wonderful. But I don't know. I mean, you can only pump out so many, right, before things do get saturated. And I don't know. I feel like every time I open up LinkedIn, they're hiring people at Singer. It's like I don't think they're planning on slowing down anytime soon. So maybe they have kind of hit an inflection point. Or
I think if you roll back a few years ago, I'm sure that you'd look at the auctions at Car Week and there would be like 1 singer.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember there being multiple singers in any auction house.
Right.
That's a few years ago, right? But
Well, it'll be fun to watch.
Should,
so Broad Arrow will be at the Quail. So then will there be an auction associated with Motorlux? Because that's where Broad Arrow has been in the last few years.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. Or has Motorlux just sort of turned into this thing where, I got the impression, at least, especially last year, there was almost just too much going on in that space, right? And so maybe the focus wasn't, there are a lot of distractions, right, from the auction, in my opinion. But, I know Ken on a bit, he runs Broad Arrow. Maybe we should have him on after Car Week and get his take. And speaking of Mecum, we've got Sam Murtaugh. He's the chief operating officer of Mecum coming out next week. So, Car Week focus for sure. But I'm very curious to get both his take and Ken's just on how the auctions are evolving, right? I mean, decisions like that aren't taken lightly, right? You don't just decide, I'm going to move venues or whatever. I mean, this is very deliberate, and there's got to be a reason for that. I'm very curious how that all shakes out or why it all shakes out like it does. So. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is a little bit of history amongst these auction houses, right? Because the Amelia Island got bought by Haggerty. Yeah. RM used to have Premier Spot, right? They used to have the best pitch there. And then one year, because Haggerty owned Broad Arrow, Haggerty put RM in that position. And that is why we now have Moda down in Miami.
Right.
Because RM went, screw you guys, we'll do our own car event. And this is well documented, so it's not like it's inside knowledge. So
tell the people it is, Dan.
Yeah, only on that car show.
Don't tell anyone, but
because you can ask next week. You can ask about the yellow F50 because they're selling that amongst many other cars.
Like,
as far as you know, is RM at is it the Portofino, the hotel in Monterey again this year?
I think so. It's like next to the conference center, isn't it, downtown?
Yeah, and that's kind of a special, because that's got a completely different vibe, right?
Yeah.
That's just each, and I think that's the neatest thing. Each one of these auctions, whether it's Gooding, whatever, each one is a completely different vibe, right? The cars are a little bit different. It's, completely different venue. So it's worth checking them all out if you can, because you're going to see
because they are so
each,
different. So. It's not like, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Like you said, like the Portofino has that wonderful outdoor kind of motor court where they can display them, and the other ones have all, it's very different, but cool at each one.
pro tip, go to the far reaches of these auctions. See what's tucked away in the far corners, and you're going to see some of the most interesting stuff. So
Nice.
Yeah.
maybe not the prettiest stuff, or the
And
stuff
then
in best
Gooding,
condition.
just to round that off, Gooding are at it's Gooding Christie, and they are actually on the golf course, next to the golf course. So there's almost like a little village that gets built up during Car Week,
Right.
and that's where they're located. So if you go and watch the car tour, which I think is on the Thursday,
Yep.
you can go into Gooding at that point.
Yep.
So all the cars that are going to be on the lawn on the Sunday go on a rally, basically a 17-mile drive, and that's the prime location for where Gooding are. So you can go watch the cars leave and then go into Gooding and have a good look around.
Yeah.
Spend those
That's
fantasy
a
millions.
Good
Get out of the
Thursday
sun.
itinerary.
Yeah.
Yes. And then check out some of the houses, right? That's the other thing to do on a Thursday. Go to the Range Rover house or, the BMW house.
Yeah.
Should be so lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Again,
It's,
we're
Well, I
very
can't
lucky.
wait. I'm really looking forward to it. It's now I've done it a couple of times. It's under my skin. It'd be very difficult to not
Yeah.
go. It's
Well, I think we're at a show, aren't we?
I think so.
good God, we are. We're way over an hour.
Time flies when you're having
Well
fun.
done. Well done, Dan.
Exactly.
It's good to have you back.
I know.
Yes, good to be back. And it's let us know what you think about the auction cars. Let us know if you're crazy enough to be bidding on a Ferrari Luce. Maybe we want to unfriend you on LinkedIn.
We want to be making informed
Or at least
decisions around
follow
here, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess, Lindsay, take us out with a phrase that pays.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate everybody being here and liking, subscribing, and sharing the show with your enthusiast friends. We always appreciate a 5-star review, of course. Remember to always be driving. And until next week, we're That Car Show.